Alright guys, so first of all, I'd like to apologize because I just realized that the angle wasn't really great, so I'm hoping this is a little bit better. So here's the problem. This probably isn't going to be your problem, this was my problem. Uh, I didn't have this vinyl hose as high up as it needed to be. Apparently it needs to be really up to the square nut as opposed to below it. So again, you just boil some water, dip this with the brass fitting in it, and then just keep pushing until you get it tight. I'd recommend keeping the brass fitting on. I wanted this from somebody else, but if you just try and heat this up without heating up the brass, without having it at least started, it becomes very, very hard to start it on the fitting. So that's just something to do. That's how I did it. I haven't tried it the other way. I just figured, let me make my life easy. Let me do what somebody told me to do. But you guys can do either one. So this is working now. Zero hiss. So that's good. What we're gonna do now is we're actually gonna put this whole gun back together, and I'm gonna show you guys everything that you need to do. We're gonna start by turning off my regulator because this is the shitty Valken one that costs like $30, and I don't want to blow it out before I need to. But I've established that this is functioning. At least it is for now. I'm sure once I put the gun back together, it'll decide that it doesn't want to work, and then we'll do this again. But for right now, this is what we've got. So now I guess this goes for. I haven't really taken a F2 engine apart with an F2, but for the Kythera, it's super simple. There's no electronics required. It's just mechanical. It's just air pressure. So I like that. I'm not very good with electricity. I don't really understand it. Sure, one of these days I'll get around to learning, but right now, that's not what we're doing today. So if you are gutting an AEG gearbox to do this with the Kythera, again, I don't know about with an F2 or anything else, but with a mechanical thing, you just take apparently everything out because there's nothing left in here. This is just totally empty. The only thing we're using is these three pieces. So the trigger, the sear or firing hammer, I don't even know what it's called on a real gun, and your trigger spring. So the trigger spring has a long side and a short side or leg. This is what helps you orient the trigger spring on the trigger. And take your trigger, you're going to face it towards you. You're going to notice, even if this was a stock trigger, I'm pretty sure it's still set up the same way. You notice you have a long leg and a short tip. You're going to stick the long leg into that hole wrapped around here. All right, so it's going to slide on just like that. Okay, so as you can see, I hope you can see this. I hope I'm holding it the right way. That long leg is inside that little micro hole. That hole right there. And then we slip the round part of the spring over the long leg. So it looks like this. Excuse me. Then you're going to take a look. You've got 1, 2 trigger holes, or trigger pin holes, right? You've got the same thing over there. However, again, I'm going to actually take my mask off so that y'all can see this. Hold up. Okay, we're still recording. All right. So you've got these 2 holes right there, and then you've got that 3rd hole that I'm covering up with my finger. All right. That's where you're going to slide this little leg of the trigger spring in. That's the small leg again, remember? So I'm going to put the mask back on. That's really the only part that needs a super close-up. Again, I hope you guys can still hear me. So, long leg of the trigger, long leg of the spring, put them together. This is really simple. I'm just repeating myself a couple times because I want, it can be a pain in the ass. You're going to slide the small leg into that little triangle hole. The small leg of the spring into the triangle hole, and you're going to slide the remainder of the trigger leg into the first hole. Now, this is not that hard to do. It just requires just a little bit of finesse. I use a pocket knife. I don't know if you have one. You probably should if you're into this stuff, but maybe you don't. And we're still not in yet. Alright, let's try this the other way. And take the trigger off. We're going to put the spring, the little leg of the spring in there. We are going to line it up so that I can install this in here. Okay, so this is way easier for you guys if you're not wearing a dye mask, but there we go. So this is where it needs to be. The leg, you can see, is all the way in there, and also all the way, the leg of the spring is all the way in the aluminum gearbox, the leg of the trigger is in the gearbox, and the other leg of the spring is inside the trigger. Now you're going to do this. Very simple. The open side faces the front of the gun. So you're just going to slide this on like this. Okay. Well, again, it's not that hard. It might take you a few tries. Clearly, it's taking me a few tries, but that's okay. We're going to get it. We are going to get it. Okay. That's in. Open side, front, with the shark fin pointing that way. Nope, that's in a different hole that it's not supposed to be in. Okay, now they're seated. All right, now comes the fun part. With one hand holding these in, you're going to drop your HPA engine inside there. All right, you can see how this is working, this action, right? That is what becomes your trigger pull. All right. I'm going to leave my emergency cocking mechanism out the back because that's where I like it. You guys can run it through the pistol grip if you want to do that. And I just lost. Okay. Okay, you guys are back where you belong.